15th. So it is a busy time for those of us in this space. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, I'm excited. We're going to talk today about the CommunAbility mentoring program at UNCC and talk to you a little bit about the importance of a mentor and kind of what that means for you. And I think more importantly, what that could mean for you should you consider to engage with us in the CommunAbility mentoring program. So let's go ahead and get started. And so today we are going to talk, as I said, about really finding that value of a mentor and what that can mean for you. Recognizing the current state of disability and employment. So we'll take a look at some statistics, but also find out about disability in North Carolina as an organization, and specifically about our CommunAbility mentoring program, and sharing some details and opportunities with you. And then finally, leaving you with the opportunity to get involved. I mean, that's our hope. Leanne is the point of contact there at UNC Charlotte, and we really, really want you to consider engaging with us and finding a mentor that can help you as you make that transition from your college experience into your career. To share just a little bit about my personal journey, as I said, I'm an executive director of disability in North Carolina. And I am also a person with a disability. So like about 75% of people with disabilities, I have a non-visible disability. At age 4, I was diagnosed with underdeveloped optic nerves in both of my eyes. So while looking at me, you probably wouldn't know it, but I am legally blind. And so this disability conversation is an important one to me. It's been a part of not only my professional journey, but also my personal one as well. And so this topic of mentoring is really an important one. And as I was preparing for today's presentation, it really causes me to step back and put myself where you are now, right? As a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior, or even in graduate school at the college level, and kind of what that felt like, navigating those things as a person with a non-visible disability. Let me say this. And I have said this to my son, who is now at his first year at UNC Greensboro. Best time in your life. I know you may not feel that, but I promise you this is such a fun time. So just enjoy every second of it, because I did. So let's go ahead and get started. Next slide. And so really the idea behind this CommunAbility mentoring program is truly to kind of jumpstart your career and the success in that. So what we decided when we created this program is how do we identify opportunities for college students with disabilities to connect with mentors from the business community before they graduate. We know that so much happens through networking. And so, career opportunities, internships, those types of things. We don't learn about those if we're not connecting with people in the business community. So how do we create those opportunities? Well, through the CommunAbility mentoring program, we work with the career services as well as disability support services to open up the conversation on campuses to help support, but identify those college students with disabilities who may be interested in kind of upping their leadership skills and looking for career opportunities that are often found through mentoring opportunities. And so really helping to connect that talent of students with disabilities to the business mentors and creating a networking opportunity for college students. And that can lead to not only long-term relationships from a business perspective upon graduation, but it can open up doors for internship opportunities and even employment. So we're really excited about our continued relationship with UNC Charlotte and sharing this program with you today. And so let's move to the next slide. And so what is the value of a mentorship? And so, you know, when you think about the key relationships that you establish at the college level, many of you have probably identified, at least by your junior or senior year, those professors, right? Or those members of faculty that you can kind of go to seek advice. Well, a mentor is exactly that. A good mentor will serve as kind of that guide, a sounding board for you as you navigate your path through the college experience. A great mentor can also kind of help you navigate the terrain and because they've been there before, yet also provide you in your own unique experience. So as a person with a disability, you know, I think back to a time when I was considering law school or graduate school. And I remember reaching out to an individual who was totally blind, and he was an attorney and had been through law school. And I remember having a number of conversations with him to ask questions, you know, what are some things I need to be thinking about as I consider taking even the entrance exam to law school or the LSAT? How did you prepare? You know, what did you do around exams and studying for the bar exam? I mean, questions like that only a person that has had the similar experience can help. And that's really what we strive to do through this CommunAbility mentoring program, is connecting students with business professionals that have the same interests, maybe the same career path, and allowing that mentor and mentee to really navigate those conversations in a way that really meets the unique needs of the individual student. Next slide. And so when we think about, again, the value of a mentor, career mentors can help, again, to advance or introduce you to people within their network, right? Help you establish those relationships that often can take a very long time to develop on your own. And so I know, for example, you know, business mentors may have networks of professionals or colleagues that they're already connected to. So as that relationship with your mentor grows and they learn more about your areas of interest, they can often help you navigate or cultivate relationships with individuals that you may have not even been connected with before or knew existed. And so again, benefiting fully from that relationship is a two-way conversation, but can really help to expand your relationships with business contacts in the community, and ultimately open doors for employment, internship opportunities, and again, just long-lasting relationships. Often the best mentors can help you navigate challenges, not just professionally and in your career path, but also in navigating just life challenges. We know that's part of the journey, particularly of a young person, a college level person where you're trying to navigate life. It could be changing career paths, it could be changing majors, finding other areas of interest, or just questioning, right, your decision to follow a particular career path. I know I was at a career fair not long ago, and several students approached and said, well, I think this is what I'm interested in, but I'm really not sure. You know, your college career, your 4 years of college or 5, 6 years of college, depending on what your path is, it is an opportunity for you to explore what your interests are. And so, you know, don't put all that pressure on you to not explore what areas of interest that you might have in studying different fields, or navigating through some classes that may not be part of your core curriculum, but give you an opportunity to kind of kick the tires on some other areas. And a mentor can help you think through some of those ideas. Again, you know, there is an opportunity in terms of when a good mentor is a part of your journey, that they can turn those kind of what can be heavy experiences or challenging times into opportunities that you can learn from. And sometimes having that mentor can bring a perspective into situations that may be kind of challenging, but can give you some fresh eyes on a situation and really turn it into more of a growth opportunity for you. So next slide. And so when we think about a mentor and kind of what that means, and really stopping to look at where you are right now in your experience as a college student on the campus of UNC Charlotte. I think as a person or a college student, if I look back with a disability, I think it is true that we tend to want to minimize, especially those of us that have non-visible disabilities. You want to minimize those challenges, and you do often say, well, I really just kind of want to blend in, right? I want to kind of get through my college experience just like everybody else. And the question is, right, is this really giving yourself the best opportunity to be successful? And I think about that, because I think as a young person and as a student with a disability, even in law school, I often found myself kind of navigating on my own, not wanting to draw attention to myself in terms of other things that I might need. And had I not done that, right, had I been more willing, I guess, to take care of my own needs and find out, you know, what are some, you know, even having a mentor. And while I did have one for a time, it wasn't a consistent part of my experience certainly in law school. And so I do think that it's important for us to step back and ask that question. You know, is there really an opportunity for us to get some help, right? And to ask for some assistance through this mentorship program, and kind of what can that mean? So yeah, I challenge those that are on today's call and in this training to step back and ask yourself that question. You know, how much time do you spend saying, well, you know, it's not that bad, or okay, so I didn't do so well. I didn't ask for that accommodation, but you know, it's okay. I'll do better the next time. You know, this is your opportunity. This education, this next 4 or 5 years of your experience is prepping you for what's to come. And so don't shortchange yourself. Use this as an opportunity to take advantage of every shot you have at building those relationships, at really refining what you're looking for in a career and what's going to set you up for success as you move forward and as you transition from your college experience into your career. Next slide. And so let's look at some statistics here. And again, this this is an opportunity for us to be real. That when we look at the employment rate among college students or college graduates with disabilities, 28% of graduates with disabilities who earn at least a BA degree, and they are unemployed, or I'm sorry, are employed, versus 75.5% of those graduates without disabilities who are employed after a year of following graduation. Okay. And so this is not to discourage, this is not to be a downer, but what this does, what I want this statistic to do is to prompt you to really consider taking advantage of every opportunity you have to create those successes in your career path going forward. As you transition out of college and into your career. A mentoring opportunity is a great way to do that. Again, building those relationships and finding your strength and comfort in how you communicate your needs as a person with a disability is going to be critical to your success in navigating your professional career following your college experience. Next slide. And so when we think about the overall employment rate among people with disabilities, and you know, there is an overwhelming difference between those individuals that that are 63.7% employment rate among people without disabilities, versus 19.1% of persons with disabilities who are employed. So once again, right, there are barriers to employment. We know that. And what we want to do is to really equip you with the success in really being able to have the honest conversations about, you know, the concerns, the barriers that might exist. The attitudinal barriers that exist, all of those things that can play into an individual's, you know, willingness to step out and seek the career opportunity that they're choosing. Having a relationship with a mentor, business connections upon graduation is a real key piece to really leveraging success as you graduate. Next slide. And so when we think about the conversation, so part of this CommunAbility program is to educate and inform. So through training opportunities, we'll talk about the various aspects of that career and disability connection. Talk about the perceived challenges, but how we translate those challenges that may exist into strengths. Understanding that conversation around disclosure, and finding what works for you as an individual who may have a disability and need to disclose that. So we spend a lot of time talking about kind of telling your story, but doing it in a way that is not necessarily oversharing. And we'll talk about the need for disclosure. For example, and I've said this before, in an interview, I may or may not disclose depending on the situation. But if I'm working for a company or an organization, because of my low vision, I need assistive technology on my computer. And so there's to me, there's a level of comfort for me in sharing those needs. And it may be that I need to share prior to that in an interview process, depending on the transportation to and from an interview site, or having specific directions on where that interview might be, because I have difficulty seeing signage. And so having very clear directions is important, and something that I need. So again, we take a lot of time in talking about those opportunities and really what is going to work best for each individual, because understanding my needs are very different than maybe someone else that has low vision as well. And so really equipping you with the skills that you need to navigate those conversations. Next slide. And so again, how do you talk about the attitudinal barriers that we know exist? We know that when we think about barriers to employment, there's a number of them, but attitude tends to be at the top of the list. And so how do we help to kind of unpack some of that feeling of disappointment and or the attitudes that will come up in a workplace, and being able to talk through what that experience is like, but how can you be a self-advocate in those situations, and really manage those, because the reality is those attitudes exist and they will. And so really, again, a mentor can walk you through their own experiences and how they too have managed those attitudes in the workplace, and been a success in the process. Navigating career development, career transitions, and even long-range career vision is again another opportunity. So I think that it goes beyond just getting that first position or getting that internship, but really sitting down with a mentor and talking through what your long-range career goals are, understanding that that first job that you get won't be your last, right? And many times, and I've shared this before as well, I remember graduating from law school, and I had passed the bar exam, but I'll tell you, it was tough. It was tough finding that first opportunity for work as an attorney. And so I went to work because I had to, right? Eventually you kind of get to the point where you got to pay rent. And so I started looking for other opportunities outside of just the legal field, and went to work as a counter manager at a cosmetics counter. And yes, I told you at the beginning of this that I am legally blind. And so if you'd ever told me that I'd be selling cosmetics behind a cosmetics counter, I'd say, I don't think so. I share that with you because I did not disclose that I had a disability during that, but I knew that I had worn makeup for a long time, so I could figure anything out. And so I went forward and got that position, and found out that I could sell, that even though I had gone to law school and passed the bar exam, I really thrived in this sales environment. And so that told me something about myself. Number one, I could eat at any time, right? Because I could always go out and get a job as a salesperson, hopefully in a retail environment. But it also, and this is the cool part, and this is what I want you to hear. It is in that position as a counter manager at a cosmetics counter that I came across my customer who, and I'm going to date myself here, but we used paper resumes back at the time. And she and I had developed a relationship because she was a great customer. And I handed her the resume, and she had actually her husband worked at a law firm in town. And that is how they got my resume. And that's how I got my first job as an attorney. So had I not stepped back and said, okay, so I'm navigating this whole career idea, right? I know what my long-term goal is, but I gotta do something to get myself out there and pay bills, right? Right now. And so that was my step. Was that part of my long-term strategy when I left law school? Absolutely not. But it was that position that led me to my first legal position. So this is the kind of stuff that I think mentors can help guide you on, because we can't get out of school and just have a blueprint that says, okay, this is the rest of your life, right? This is what it's going to look like. So I encourage you to keep your clay soft, right? And those mentors are often really key players in how to help you navigate into the long-term career path that you're looking for. But sometimes those little steps along the way are probably the most crucial. So something to think about. Next slide. And so I think it's important for you to know a little bit about who we are as an organization, because again, disability in North Carolina has been around since 2012. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary at our fall conference just a couple weeks back. But we are a business to business network. So we work with companies across the state of North Carolina, all committed to empowering individuals with disabilities to really create that culture of inclusion, whether it's in their workforce, whether it's in the supply chain, or in their marketplace. So they truly value the customer aspects of what people with disabilities, their friends, their networks bring to the marketplace as well. We are one of 24 affiliates across the country, all committed to, again, providing employment opportunities for people with disabilities. Our national organization is Disability In, and they connect us to over 400 corporations across the globe, really, that have a global presence and truly are the leader in global disability inclusion worldwide. And so we're excited to be partnering with UNC Charlotte and bringing this CommunAbility mentoring program to you and the campus there at UNC Charlotte. Next slide. And so just to let you know, some of the companies that we work with directly, our members and sponsors are here. And what I love most about this slide is that you'll see the diverse industries that are represented here, from financial services to insurance to retail with Lowe's, healthcare. So there's just a wide range, advanced manufacturing with Train Technologies, Agilitech and other smaller companies as well, like Procyntex. These are companies that are owned and operated by individuals with disabilities as well. So again, very proud of our sponsors and members. Next slide. And so with that, I do want to give a huge thanks to Wells Fargo, who is the founding partner of this CommunAbility mentoring program. And it's important to understand too that this was launched here at UNC Charlotte, 3 or 4 years ago now. And we are now promoting that and advancing that, expanding this program to all of the historically Black colleges and universities across North Carolina. So again, through Wells Fargo's founding partnership, again, this is something, a model that we are expanding to other colleges and universities across the state. So very excited about that, and really hope that you'll consider joining our CommunAbility mentoring program here at UNC Charlotte. Next slide. And I think as we wrap up, I want you to make sure that if you like what you have heard today and are interested in becoming involved in the CommunAbility mentoring program there on your campus, that you contact Leanne, who is available through the Career Center there as the Disability Outreach Coordinator, and her contact information and email is there for your reference. And so with that, I think I'm going to pause and invite Leanne to join us and help facilitate any questions that you might have.
Hi, thank you so much, Beth. That was great. We do actually have a question in the chat for you, because I think we do have some employers with us as well as students.
Great.
And so we have a question of asking if you guys work with just employers in North Carolina.
Great question. So we here in North Carolina work with employers here. That said, we'd certainly be interested in talking with you about your interest. And we have a lot of employers here that have other locations, right? So they have some presence here in North Carolina, but they may have employees in other states. And so if you are an employer and you are interested in learning more, we have, I'd be happy to connect you. We've got, affiliates in other states too. So depending on where you are, would love to connect you that way. And yeah, let's have a conversation. Would love that.
This is more just out of curiosity and maybe for the employers or students, but what's the process like finding mentors for the mentees in the program?
Yeah, that's great. So once we're in the recruiting process now, right? In identifying mentees on the campuses, but as those mentees are identified and we have information around their majors, right? Their areas of interest, then we go out and begin to match those areas of interest with the employers that we work with. And trust me when I say we have never had difficulty in finding mentors because there are a number of employers that are very, very interested in tapping into the talent of the students there at UNC Charlotte. And so, we often have more mentors than we have mentees, if you can imagine. So, so that's really the opportunity that we have. And again, it doesn't always work where it's an even match, but often we're very effective in identifying those as well. And then, too, not just within our member companies, while they are super excited and ready to engage, we also, lean back to the alumni office, right? The UNC Charlotte. You guys have a number of employers that come to your job fairs and your career centers. And so they too are very interested in tapping into talent through mentoring programs like CommunAbility.
Also, it would be, we have a question. Do the mentors have disabilities as well, or is there a mix of folks who are mentors with and without?
Very good question. Yes, some of the mentors do. It is not a requirement, but many of them do. And so it is a mix for sure. And the learnings happen both ways, which is again a great part of this program. Yes.
Could you give like a brief overview, maybe like just a couple minutes of what the program, how it runs, in case people are curious about that?
Sure. And so we start off with kind of an orientation where we bring everybody together, and we've done this all virtually as well. I think that's important to note, which is one of the benefits, quite honestly, of the last couple of years, where we had designed this to be virtual from the beginning, and that really transitioned well even through the last 2.5 years. But we'll host an orientation where we bring everyone together and kind of give a high level overview of the entire program. And then it's up to the mentor and the mentee as to how often. We hope that they will connect at least once a month. And depending on the work schedules, the class schedules, having those regular check-ins is really important. But then we also have organized programs. So we'll host trainings for that will talk about some of the topics, and often that will give some of the companies that are involved in the mentoring opportunities to share about their work, share about how they have navigated various aspects of their career. Maybe they're a person with a disability and they want to talk about the idea of navigating disclosure, non-disclosure, and what that looks like. We've had one on accommodation requests and processes and what that looks like. So a number of different topics then are brought about. And then we also, I think it's important to create space, and Leanne, this is where you come in as well, to have that one-on-one time with you, right? So you have a regular, hours in your office as well. And part of this program is to help facilitate those conversations with students and mentees, so that you guys can build that network too, amongst yourselves, right? As members of the campus community there at UNC Charlotte, and how you can support one another through these processes, as well as you think about your careers and really equipping you with a network of supports there as well. And then, again, finally, at the end, we, our hope is that through these relationships, often there are opportunities for internships. Again, that's not part of the community, the requirements, but many times, I know, for example, even from past relationships are still happening. Mentors and mentees are still meeting. Maybe a student has graduated a year ago, but they're still applying for graduate school, right? So I know I just talked to one of our mentors not long ago, and she's still having ongoing conversations with the student on a regular basis to talk about strategies on applying for graduate school. So, these are relationships that we want to go beyond just this semester, right? Or just your final graduation, but really, it's an opportunity for you to invest in time in building these relationships that we hope will last beyond just your college experience.